Hello everybody, welcome back to another video with Lim Reviews. Now in today's video, I just want to take a quick look at the Redmi Note 11 Pro 4G. This was just launched a couple of weeks ago, maybe just a couple of days ago. I can't really remember, but I do have the device here today. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you who this device is actually made for. A lot of you out there know that the Redmi Note 11 series didn't really live up to its expectations. Some of you are calling it a downgrade, but I'm sure this device still might be able to suit some people out there. Apart from that, I also want to share with you my personal thoughts on whether you should actually get the 4G or 5G model, or if you should go and check out other devices. Well, before we begin, of course, if you'd like to watch content like this, don't forget to drop a like, just support the channel. That would be super awesome. Let us begin. Now, I do have the Redmi Note 11 Pro 4G over here, and just in case you are confused, there are 4 different flavors to the Redmi Note 11 series. You have the Note 11, 11S, 11 Pro 4G, and the 11 Pro 5G. Now, the one like I mentioned here is the 4G version, and we're going to talk a little bit about the design. Now, in terms of the design, it does look quite okay. It looks exactly the same as the 5G version. I like the fact that we do have this really nice and smooth matte back at the back here, and it just feels very premium to hold. We also have this really nice flat size all around the device, and it actually feels easier to hold it in hand. Apart from that, we still get our stereo speakers, we do get the headphone jack, we get the infrared blaster, and of course at the bottom you have your Type-C port. And with the SIM card tray, I must also point out that this is sort of a hybrid tray. You can either have 2 SIM cards inside, or you can use just 1 SIM card and put in a micro SD slot to, increase your memory capacity. Alright, so that's just in terms of the design. Oh, one thing I should also point out is that it still comes with the same IP53 rated. That means you can, get it in some dust, and a bit of splashes onto it, but not submerge it into water. Alright, so now done with the design, let's talk a little bit about the display that we do get in the front. Now, this display is actually quite a good one. Similar to the Redmi Note 10 Pro from last year, we are still getting a 6.67-inch AMOLED display. It is a 1080p display and is refreshed at 120Hz, so most of the stuff will be quite smooth. In terms of your touch sampling rate, you do have 360Hz, so it's actually quite responsive to your touches. Other than that, it supports HDR10 and it is protected by Corning Gorilla Glass 5. I do not have the screen protector on here, and I've been using it for the past few days, sliding it over the table, and it has still no scratches on it whatsoever. In terms of watching videos on this device, it was quite a joy here. I was able to enjoy a lot of movies and of course YouTube in HD, and it actually looks very nice here. Now, in terms of the 120Hz, it's also quite smooth, but I would say that it is mostly let down by the processor because in some parts it is actually quite stuttery. Now, on that note, let us talk about the power that we have in the Redmi Note 11 Pro 4G. Now, some of you already know that for some reason, we are getting the Helio G96. Guys, the Helio G96 is a pretty weak processor. I don't want to say bad things about the Helio processor, but the G96 is just, comparing it to the Redmi Note 10 Pro, it is approximately 5% weaker based on Geekbench scores. And if you just compare it to the Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G version that comes with the Snapdragon 695, it is approximately 25% behind, again based on benchmark scores. Now, if you do not know yet, the price difference between the Redmi Note 11 Pro 4G and the 5G is just 200 ringgit or $50 US. So if you are actually planning to buy either one of these devices, my advice here is just go for the 5G version because the processor is much better than the one here. Now, in terms of real-world use, how does it feel like to use? The good news here is that MIUI 13 does feel quite snappy, but again, with the Helio G96, I find that it really affects the performance on the device itself. Just browsing basic social media, launching the Chrome application for example, just browsing the internet and all that, it's just a bit slow. Launching apps and all that is just not smooth. So even though you have that 120Hz refresh rate, it only works really well in like the native apps, like for instance the settings menu, browsing through the applications. But when you actually use the applications, it is not a very smooth process. Now, on the note of gaming, if you are actually thinking of playing a lot of games like Mobile Legends, PUBG, Genshin Impact and all that, well, my advice here is that this device is not actually made for gaming, so you might want to look elsewhere. Now, on that note, let's talk a little bit about some good stuff, better stuff I would say, and that is in terms of the cameras. Now, the cameras are very similar to the one on the previous year's Redmi Note 10 Pro, and back then it was actually quite good. So this year is actually quite a similar story. You do have the 108 megapixel main sensor, you also have an 8 megapixel ultra wide, a 2 megapixel depth, and another 2 megapixel macro lens. Now I'm just going to focus on the main 108 megapixel and of course the ultra wide. Pictures taken during the day actually turned out quite well. Now in terms of the colors, I noticed that it was actually quite true to life. It wasn't so saturated to the point where, it pops so much, but it was actually quite good looking here. Another thing I want to point out is that in terms of the details, it's also quite nice. We have quite sharp images over here. And when you turn it on to night mode, this is where it actually gets quite interesting. Now, I was just taking a couple of photos yesterday night of a very, very dark environment. I went downstairs at 2 AM and it was completely dark, but the Redmi Note 11 Pro was still able to brighten the area and was able to produce some very usable pictures. So, yep, I would say that in terms of the night mode, it's actually quite a thumbs up. But otherwise, I would say that just for the cameras itself, I would say that I would give it a thumbs up given the price that it's asking for. Now, done with the camera, let's talk a little bit about the video capabilities, because on the Redmi Note 10 Pro, you did have 4K capabilities, but on the Redmi Note 11 Pro 4G, it only supports up to 1080p. So that's just something that I should mention as well. Now, moving on to the last part here, and let's talk a little bit about the battery that we have in this guy. We do have a 5000 mAh battery, but the good news here is that it comes with a 67-watt charger in the box, and it charges up very, very fast. Now, it does 0 to 50% in just 15 minutes, and this is actually faster than a lot of more expensive devices out there, even the Samsung S22. So this is the only really awesome part about the device. The charging speed is just amazing. Alright guys, so who is this device for and should you buy it? Well, again, I would say that if you are already using a Redmi Note 10 Pro, don't even think of changing to the Redmi Note 11 series. All of them are not really worth, the upgrade. If you are planning to buy a Redmi Note 11 series, if you have to get either one of them, get the Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G because the processor is much better than the one here. Let me know what you guys think about the Redmi Note 11 series. Are you guys happy with it? Do you agree with my comments? Let me know down in the comment section below. I love to hear what you guys think. And of course, last but not least, don't forget to drop a like and sub to the channel. I hope to see all of you in the next one. Stay safe, everybody. Bye!